Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm OAK Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today we're trying a rum. And we are trying this Black Tot rum, which is a Caribbean style rum. It is a blend between Barbadian, Guyanese and Jamaican rum. And it is made by the Elixir Distillers Company. They also have the Whiskey Exchange, you might know that one as well. And it's bottled at 46.2% ABV, and it's also non-chill filtered. So it has a really interesting history, this rum, and if you're just starting out in rum, I can definitely recommend this one. I am of course going to try it later, haven't tried it just yet, but I would recommend it just because of how brilliant this rum would be for exploring the world of rum. Because if you check online on their website, they have so much history on the site. They show you exactly what components that are going into this blend. You get like a little bit of a gist of what flavors come from what Caribbean island, for example. And yeah, it's just brilliant. So if you're curious about the history and a little bit more about rum, so you can kind of pick out different flavors and explore it further, I would check that out. And of course, if you're curious about rum, then we have Black Tot Day coming up, which is on the 31st of July. I can't wait for it. There's some really interesting chats on it, and I believe you can also get sample packs if you want to taste along while you watch it. And they are available on the Whiskey Exchange website. I have of course put my affiliate link in the description below if you want to support me at the same time. It would of course be so incredibly appreciated. And of course a massive thank you to the team at Elixir Distillers for sending me this bottle. Of course, whiskey was my first love in the world of spirits, but I'm always fascinated to try different ones, and just as long as it's a flavour, I just want to explore it. And of course, while we're talking about Black Tot Day, it was this day, the 31st of July in 1970, when you decided in Parliament that you would stop giving rum rations to the British Army. Of course, the sailors were very sad. They even had funerals for what they called the day that rum died, and then rum was more saved for special occasions. But since that day was the day that rum died, it has since been known as Black Tot Day and celebrated this year with a little kind of rum festival. So excited to see what's gonna come up that day. I know there's some chats on, for example, aging, so how it differs if you mature in perhaps a tropical climate versus if you import it to, for example, Europe and mature it here instead, and also some really other fascinating ones. But we are gonna try this rum today, and I believe, see if I can remember this correctly, it consists of 35% Barbadian rum, 40% Guyanese and only 5% Jamaican. And from Jamaica it said you get a little bit of a funky notes. From the Guyanese rums you get a little bit more of a fuller body, and from the Barbadian rums you get a really kind of fruity tropical flavour. And the rum from Barbados are between 3 to 5 years old. The rums from Guyana, they differ a bit between, I think it's 20% unaged and the 40% is aged whiskies, also between 3 and 5 years old. And the Jamaican whiskey is also 3 years old, so it's a good kind of mix of everything. And I read that they said that this is a good rum for kind of balancing but also showcasing the best out of each of these kind of flavour categories. And they're also whiskies, rums that have been distilled in both pot still and column still, and they're all made from molasses. But that said, all the info over, so we're gonna start by having a little nose. Ooh. The first thing I get is this kind of acetone notes. It's quite clean and quite kind of petrol-esque in a way. Bit of like banana and pear drops. Tropical but quite clean, so that acetone note is very kind of, it's a bit chemical, but it's like a clean chemical. Oh, and of course forgot to say, so all of these whiskies, rums have been matured in like their country of origin, so they've been matured before they were shipped over to Scotland to be bottled. Yeah, quite tropical, quite sweet of course. You get that kind of rum, like molasses rum notes. And it kind of softens up now when it's been in the glass at least a little bit longer. It was like banana bubblegum and the acetone chemical clean petrol notes. But let's have a little taste, of course, as well. Slangeva? I don't know if that's the right word. We'll say slangeva. Slangeva. Like a big burst of flavour. Do you think that kind of chemical petrol hair drops acetone-ness, you also get it on the palate? Sweet, but not overly kind of sticky sweet. I think it's more, definitely have a fruitiness to it, and when you kind of, the finish is quite charry and that kind of leather petrol, but with a bit of that sweetness in it as well. Still got a bit of that banana bubblegum. A little bit of vanilla as well. It definitely has like a tropical fruitiness to it as well. I think if you're a person who likes the scent of petrol, I think you'd like this rum because it does. I mean, I know it sounds super weird, and I promise I've never tasted petrol, but it's just that kind of notes that it's this kind of, yeah, it's like slightly chemical, but in a really nice way. I mean, if you do like the scent of petrol, I think you know what I mean. But it also has a bit of that kind of murky, tropical vegetal note on the palate. There's more like a vegetal petrol note, but also has, of course, a lot of tropical notes and a sweetness. But I like that. I mean, I think this is one of those styles of rum that I really like. Some of the other rums that I do like is like Diplomatico because it's so sweet. It's just a really sweet desserty treat. And then Kirk and Sweeney, and I really like some rums from Plantation as well. Super interesting that they're changing name now as well. But it's, yeah, and I'm just getting into rum agriculture as well. So it's a very interesting world. But I find at the moment these kind of almost chemical petrol-esque, at least what they are to me, they are the ones that I tend to like a lot at the moment, as well as these kind of sweet treat banana ones. A bit like creme brulee on the nose as well, definitely. That kind of caramelized sugar. So this is some like that banana bubblegum because it's like an artificial banana, but not the artificial banana that you would get from like a liqueur, more bubblegum. I think it might be a bit of like a mintiness to it, so it's like mint banana bubblegum. A little bit of spice as well, like a little bit of a dust, like a sprinkle of cinnamon. Yeah, very lovely. It's definitely a burst of flavour, and I'm very glad it's so lovely, because I do think this would be a really good one if you are someone who wants to get into rum, or you know someone who wants to get into rum. Having something like this, and also having the resources that the brand has already done all the research and has gathered all the history in one place, and it's, I mean, I'm one of those people who think that knowing a lot about the brand and like getting it really enhances the experience when you know the history behind it. You might like the company behind it as well. So it's just, yeah, it's I think rum is one of those things that I'm now loving to explore because they're so different. And I mean, it's the same with people that don't like whiskey. They will taste the whiskey and say it tastes like whiskey. I can taste the rum and say that it tastes like rum, but then you learn that there's so many different types of rum, and what is that rum and what is this rum? Yeah, so I think definitely a good one. I would of course love to hear if you have tried a black tot rum, the finest Caribbean rum, or if you perhaps tried any other rums, any recommendations for me if I like this one, or perhaps because I like Kirk and Sweeney or Plantation. Please put all your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing what you think. And of course, if you like what I'm doing here on YouTube and my other social channels, I would of course be absolutely thrilled if you consider using your affiliate links, perhaps when you're buying the Black Tot rum from the Whisky Exchange, but also of course from the Master Malt and the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. All the information is in the description below, as well as links to my other channels, which is of course Instagram, my website, my Teespring shop and my Patreon. And of course, a massive thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon. You guys mean so much that you want to continue to support me in my whiskey journey. But I hope you've all had an absolutely wonderful day. Slán Skål!